Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Nuts and Bolts, getting to the pointy end of World of Tanks, but we will get to that a bit later because there's only one round there to go before we're in finals. Got some other stuff to cover off first though, so how have you been, Natty, before we go any further?
I am going to have to apologize to everybody who's been tuning in. I am sneezing a lot. Gotta love hay fever.
Oh,
Beautiful
yes.
flowers, the sun is shining, the wind is blowing, my face is going. So, yes.
Yeah, that's it. Good old hay fever. Love the flowers, but just there. Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today, actually. Yeah, like I said, still loving my Wednesdays off. Gets me a chance to do something that I'm just realizing now that my camera is a little bit high. So let's adjust that. Because you've got to see the wonderful Free Guy shirt that I'm wearing at the
Oh,
moment.
yes, absolutely.
That's it, with my tie. I feel this shirt's like those faux dress shirts that have got like the bow tie printed on them. And
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Oh my goodness, you just given me the best idea because you can get the same kind of thing in compression tops like that people wear to gyms and do martial arts
Mhm.
in. Just get a free guy one. How cool would
Hey,
that be?
are we talking? Oh, like the Buff Ryan Reynolds one, like the catchphrase.
Yes, that would be very cool.
I want one of them now. Disney, if you're listening, I would like a Buff Ryan Reynolds shirt to go with this lovely, lovely guy shirt as well.
All
Good,
right, all right.
awesome.
I'm sure it's
We'll
coming.
make it happen. We'll make it happen. Yeah. But a bit of news going on with esports this week. So we've had a big international event wind up over the weekend.
We did. So we had the Dota 2 TI10 finish up over the weekend. So it was pretty exciting. We did have underdogs come and take snatch victory from the expected winners. So that was pretty exciting. Sorry, excuse me. I'm going to make sure I don't
Oh,
say anything wrong because I didn't get to see it
mhm.
myself. Team Spirit, who are a team of Russian and Ukrainian players, they ended up winning overall, taking home a cool $18.2
Wow,
million USD.
I'm in the wrong
That's
industry.
nuts.
I just
Well, the thing with TI that is just amazing is that it's crowdfunded essentially. Like the
really.
fans, yeah, the fans of the game,
Oh,
they buy skins and they put money toward the tournament to run. So because it was cancelled last year because of COVID, the prize pool was a bit bigger this year, but
mm,
it's the biggest pool they've ever had. It
mm.
was over $40 million
Wow.
across all the prize categories that they had running. So, oh, amazing. But yeah, congratulations to Team Spirit. They did a great job reading back over what happened. They had a bit of a struggle fighting through the lower brackets, getting knocked back a couple times.
Mm.
And then even the grand final, it was a best of five. They did a great draft, took out the first two games, and then PSG came back, really smart picks, won the next two, so it was all down to the last game where Team Spirit snatched it. So very, very
Oh,
cool to see.
yeah. No, I was looking at the final standings myself because Team Spirit just snuck into the group rankings to qualify for the upper bracket, and then they lost in the first round in the upper bracket, which sent them to the lower bracket. And they played through and won the final from there. And like they played 7 games in this tournament compared to PSG's 4. That is just incredible to come back from that, and it's an amazing feat. Um, and that's to say nothing of their opposition in PSG, who just put up such a good show to come back from 2 games down, be on defeat point pretty much for 2 games, and that shows real resolve in a team.
Absolutely does. And obviously, we were talking a little bit about this before, but lovely Vladimir Putin, people in the crowd will know that name. He and the Russian government did put forward in a formal announcement to say congratulations to the Russian team for taking out the victory at the TI. So, what we were just chatting about this before, like, in what world would you see Scott Morrison saying congratulations to Escher for getting fifth in the TFT World Championships.
Oh,
I
you
don't
you
see it for
wouldn't,
a
you wouldn't.
while.
Nah, nah. And going to get slightly political, I'm kind of glad he doesn't, because the way he's gotten roasted for going to sporting games when everybody else is on the quarantine, I don't think we need his help right now.
Yeah, well, that might be a bit of a fair point to make.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe one day we'll live in a
One day.
world
Mhm.
where our politicians will be a bit more into gaming and esports.
Well,
Oh
it's
my goodness, sorry, I've just seen a comment from Token Jellybean in chat. They cried when Team Spirit won. That is amazing when he can get so wrapped up in esports and have that emotional moment when a team takes it out.
Yeah, it's been really amazing. And onto some other news there. So we heard during the week, and this is through a Twitter post from October 18th, Extremum are benching their entire CSGO roster. So Extremum are a European esports outfit, but they have 3 Australian players in them: AZR, Liaza, and Gratisfaction. So suits us because it affects Australian players. So this team, the bulk of this team, were let go from 100 Thieves about a year ago, and Extremum took them up, but with the main goal of trying to get into the PGL Stockholm majors, which are coming up very, very shortly themselves. And with the loss to Evil Geniuses in the North American RMR, they've benched the entire team. And by the sound of it, the team just hasn't been performing. I did start off sort of thinking, well, you've only had the team for a year. What are you doing? But reading into it, they haven't really played any championship events. They sort of played the next tier down events, and even then haven't done really well. And not getting entry into PGL was just Extremum were not happy, and are letting the team go pretty much.
I mean, it's unfortunately not uncommon to see teams rotating out even over just a year. Esports isn't kind of the place where people tend to build up experience with the same team over several years. It's a little bit of a luxury that people have, because it really is that you didn't perform. Okay, we don't have time to make this work because we've got stakeholders and partners and board members to respond to. You didn't perform well. Sorry, see you later. We're going to pull in some other people, and hopefully that fixes whatever the issue is, and it's not, a coach or some other leadership issue going on.
Yeah.
So,
do you think it's a money thing? Because I do compare this back to AFL, because that's the main sport that I watch, and coaches and players do seem to get a lot of chances in the traditional sports like AFL. So why is it? Because that big sports like AFL and NRL and cricket have the money to be able to absorb that for a bit, and they've still got that cash flow coming in, whereas for the bulk of esports orgs, if they're not competing at that high level and going to the big international tournaments, they're not getting the visibility to be seen and to increase their profile with sponsors, and they're not getting that money from winning the tournaments as well.
Yeah, I think this day and age, really what the biggest focus is around the sponsors and the partnerships your team has, and giving them value for money as far as visibility goes. So if you're getting knocked out of tournaments early and not making the major tournaments where there's the bigger audiences, that's really going to be the big thing. I'm certainly not an expert, but as far as individual team performance goes, that is the reason why they want those eyeballs.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Sorry, and that was a question without notice there, because it got me thinking about why esports teams don't get that time to settle. Like in a year, that'll probably be 2 splits, so 2 seasons effectively, and like in other sports, you'll see coaches that are struggling or teams that are struggling stay around for 3 or 4 years before they finally get told, no, you're not performing, there's the back door, sort of thing. So it strikes me as interesting that that's the case, and the only thing I can put it down to is lack of funds or lack of cash flow.
Yeah, and certainly another thing that I think is different for established sports, like say AFL, is there's a whole support structure around the team. So I think there's a lot more people working. You look at most of our Australian esports teams, you've got the players, you might have a manager and a coach and somebody managing business and somebody managing social media, and that's it.
Yeah.
So there's if somebody's letting the team down, or if a couple of players aren't performing, or if the coach isn't doing well, it's really quite highlighted and something that the rest of the team can't kind of bundle them up and carry them on. So, well, I have no idea what's happened in this specific example that we're talking about, but yeah, it's certainly tricky.
Yeah, and that's and like all things like this, you probably won't find out the specific reasons. Although in their announcements, it was sort of stated that failure to meet the PLG Stockholm major is the major contributing factor as to why the team has been let go. Yeah, cool. On to other news. So we have at the moment not at the moment. It's been delayed for a bit, but the last chance qualifier for Valorant that's being held in North America. So they managed to get 1 day of play out, and then unfortunately had to stop due to the issues that you see in this Twitter post that I've brought up here. So the health and safety of all involved with LCQ is our greatest priority. All players and staff participating in LCQ have been and continue to be tested for COVID-19 per Riot Games and LA County health guidelines for in-person events. After receiving several conflicting test results, in an abundance of caution, we have decided to pause the competition for today while we evaluate how to safely resume the LCO. So what that says to, and there's a couple of other tweets that went with it as well, but in particular this one, because it's on the 14th of October they did this. And since then, they've announced that they will be recommencing play on the 27th of October. So that's basically 2 weeks. It's a quarantine period, pretty much. So that sort of says to me that they found something, and making everybody quarantine to keep everybody healthy and safe is what they've done. And yeah, then they'll kick off again on the 27th and continue from where they were. Big interruption, but I think the right call's been made there.
Yeah, absolutely acting in the health and safety of the players there and everybody who's there working for the event. But obviously disappointing for us as fans having to wait a couple of weeks. And certainly I think as Oceanic fans, we were already quite maybe not 100% behind this event because of our teams being excluded from being able to get involved. So
all I can think right now is that if this had happened like a day earlier before they'd started play, it might have given them a chance to get our team. I don't think they would have done it, but like
if there was a 2-week delay in time, could that have made the difference to getting our teams there?
Yeah, I don't think it would have, because there'd be a giant. Now we've got to get all these players over there and sort that out. But yeah. It's a nice what if, but I don't think it would have happened.
I really, really just hope that the delay is just like an accident and not some kind of poor management, because I think we were both potentially inferring that we felt like we're on the back foot with the Valorant tournament and getting our teams over there, and they would maybe a bit disorganized. And I just hope that hasn't put players' health and safety at risk here. Hopefully everything was done, and then this is just an accidental breakthrough of something, or maybe just a false positive came back and everything will be fine.
Given that they've waited 2 weeks to get it all going again, I'd say that something did happen there, and that they were doing the right thing by the players. So that and all the attendees as well.
Yeah.
Cool. So, but for the 1 day that was completed, there were 3 games that happened. 100 Thieves beat Gen G Esports and sent Gen G to the lower bracket. An XSET beat Luminosity and sent them to the lower bracket as well. And 100 Thieves also beat XSET too. So 100 Thieves are 1 game away from the grand final from 1 day of play, which I find quite incredible. But then again, PSG did the same thing in DOTA TI, and then Team Spirit come through the lower bracket and cleaned them. So, there's always a chance.
There's always a chance.
That's it. So, in more news, this one, not so nice. A while back in, I think. Sorry, I need to double check my notes on. I think it's a CS:GO team. Heroic CS:GO squad was in some trouble because their coach was using a bug in game to basically spy on other teams and get information that he shouldn't have been privy to. Now that coach Hudden had already been given his sentence, which is a banning for 2 years. So that's good. That was handed down by the Esports Integrity Commission, or ESIC. But also one of their players who Hudden actually implicated the whole squad in his what seemed to be a burning all bridges sort of way down. So all the players were cleared except for one, Nico. He actually did admit his complicity there. And he was found guilty, but due to special circumstances of his ADHD and Asperger's diagnosis, was found to have been pressured and influenced into that. And when I say found to have been, I want to say that that's a legitimate thing. People with ADHD and Asperger's especially can be quite easily pressured into doing things that they may not that they may not want to do, but may be able to be convinced that they should do it. So I think in this case, Hudden was the one that pushed him into it and convinced him that it was the right thing to do. So and ESIC found that way as well. So instead of giving him a suspension like Hudden, they've given him an extreme public sanction and also some one-on-one counselling. So I think that's probably a good result there. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say I completely agree. I think that they've obviously done the legwork on this, the correct investigations, and this sounds like a good result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just we'll bring that up so let everybody know about that, because that's a pretty big story in there, especially when bans are concerned. And like, why would you want to do something like that? Like, I have a pretty poor view of cheaters and like people that use hacks and stuff like that. It's just like, why? Like, yes. In esports, you've got the financial stuff, but even in just like day to day, it's like you're playing for virtual currency or virtual stuff, and if you've got to cheat to win in a case like this, why are you even playing the game?
Yeah, I completely agree, and I understand in esports it's higher stakes and there's more on the line, but certainly in more friendly play, there is no excuse. Mm-hmm. There is no excuse. I always take a little bit of joy in watching those videos where people build little backdoors into hacks so they can trick the players into doing things they don't intend to do. I like that.
all the ones that have time bombs in them, so after a little while of being used, like they freeze the player in spot and they can't do anything, or they explode or something. I do like watching them. They're pretty damn cool. So I'm going to move on to some not esports, but the whole show's esports news. We're talking League of Legends news is what I was looking for. We were talking earlier, Natty, about at Worlds for League of Legends at the moment, they also had a bit of a potential COVID exposure there. One of the crew members there had to cancel the pre-show and move the broadcast time, delay it a bit while they waited for results to come back. The end result was that they isolated the close contacts of these people, and did a reduced broadcast and made sure everything was done in a safe way. So that was that was really good to hear that, and make sure that they're all still doing their testing and making sure everything is going on all right. But in terms of the play, we are at the end of the group stages now. So for us Aussies, I think most of us are sort of going for Cloud9 now, with Fudge making his way out of the group stage with Cloud9. So that's a really good result. First Australian to make it out of groups, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's what Mercury was saying. For anybody who's part of our Discord community, Mercury's been in our general chat hyping up all the games and keeping us up to date with the results, which has been really cool to wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and see messages from him from like 3 o'clock saying, "We did it! We won! Fudge is in!"
Yay. Yeah, really cool community caster too. I was going to give him a shout out if you need any casting. He's really good for that. So jump into our Discord and send him a wave if you've got some stuff you'd like him to do. But looking at these results, Dam1 Gaming in Group A, 6-0 wins there. That is incredible. Yeah, I've got nothing else to say to that. Like,
Yeah,
what
no,
else
that one,
that's
yeah.
a very dominating experience, performance just there.
Yeah, out of all of the results, you can see they're the only one that had the clean sweep. So it's going to be interesting going into the next round to see if they'll keep that up, or if they're just going to like streak all the way.
Yeah, well, yeah, given that performance, like, although they coming out of the group stages, you're obviously going to find yourself up against some tougher opponents there.
Definitely.
And we did have a couple of tiebreakers in this round. So you can see that for Group C with RNG and HLE, they've played one more game each. So they had to play off to find out who was going to have the number 1 and number 2 spot. But even more interestingly, Group D everybody finished with 3 wins and 3 losses.
It's just so unbelievable. Like,
That's
how
it's
can you
crazy.
get to the end? Yeah, you get to the end of your games, you're like, okay, we pretty much have to do that all again.
Yeah, yeah. That's why you can see in the standings there, both LNG and TL, who were the equal third, finishing there, have played 7 games instead of 6, and Gen G and Mad Lions have both played 8 games, because Gen G played off against LNG, I think. Sorry, I did have this down somewhere. It did say here. Oh no, Gen G defeated TL and Mad Lions defeated LNG. And then obviously Gen G beat Mad Lions, which is why they're finishing first in the group there. But yeah, that's insane is the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, I was trying to find out if this is the first time it's ever happened, but I couldn't conclusively see either way. But
I think
it's got to be.
I did see something. I can't remember if it was in this story from Event Global that we're looking at. Go away! Don't want to. Why are you autoplaying? Go. Hate autoplay. A 4-way tie-in occurred for the first time in world's history.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, that was exciting. Yeah, intense, really intense. But so that's still going on. It'll be exciting to see the knockout stages now of Worlds and see who comes out on top. It feels like this has been going on for ages. Like, I know I think a lot of Australian people sort of lost interest when Peace got knocked out. But yeah, it's a little crazy.
It's a month of games. Yeah. Like, it's always something exciting to look forward to at the end of the year, but time zones are always the problem for us.
Yeah.
I always get really hyped up at the beginning, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stay up until 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. and watch all the games. I'm kind of thankful the Aussie teams don't advance all the way, because I would be very sleep deprived by the end.
Yeah.
But what we're going to see for our next games coming up on the weekend, it'll be DWG versus Mad Lions. We've got T1 versus HLE. We've got Gen G versus Cloud9, and we'll have Royals versus EDG. So
Cool.
All matched up, all ready to go.
All matched up and some place to go over in Iceland there. But bringing it back to a bit more Australian LOL news, we've seen over the last sort of week a number of Peace players say that they're exploring their opportunities, which I don't know. I feel is a little sad, being that like it was Italy, Peace, and Aladoric are the three main Peace players that were able to make it over to Iceland, with Appy and Lisa not being able to secure visas and get over there. So they've put on a good showing, and look, maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe they want to try and explore their North American options, because I think Tally's a former international player as well. Like, he's gone overseas and come back. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So both Tally and Babbitt have both played in North America. So I found it interesting though. Babbitt doesn't sound like he's.
Well, I haven't seen from
Yeah.
Babbitt, but let me have a quick look, because I must admit I don't actually follow these guys on Twitter.
That seems to be where the esports news lives.
Yeah, that's it.
I just think maybe it was just a matter of the right time, right place for these guys, because maybe they were released from their contracts from the US, especially for Tally and Babbitt, at the right times. Maybe all the other teams in the LCO had already had their teams established, had their player contracts done, and so Peace was just the place that they could land. So maybe it was never a long-term prospect for them. We'll just have to see. It could even potentially be that Peace have other players in mind that they want to pull in. We never really know. We never really find out with these things unless somebody spills the beans. But certainly any team in the league picking up any of those players would be in a really good position to be having that extra level of experience from players that have been to Worlds, and certainly for, again, Tally and Babbitt, they've been to Worlds twice now, international experience. So Tally, who's already announced he's moving on somewhere, he'd be a score.
Oh yeah. And just for the record, Babbitt hasn't posted anything on his Twitter account to say that he's exploring options as well. It could also be that he's still under contract, and these are the three players that their contracts have come up and they're exploring options. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. So after all that, I think it's time for some Tanks news. Exciting.
I don't know why I do the Spanish Flea sometimes. I think I've been brainwashed by the main podcast.
Yeah, that's it. And that hasn't even been the Big Question song for a while, because they've had the Flash one. Big question. Yeah.
I just remember whenever there was technical difficulties, that would be one of the go-to songs.
But yes, we're moving on to some exciting times with World of Tanks ANZPL Season 3, because this coming Friday is the last round robin for the season. We move into finals after that.
Excellent. So what do the teams need to reach to go through to the finals?
Well, I have a spreadsheet.
All right, let's go.
I wasn't going to show it off, but I think I'm going to show it off now. So
you have to.
I have to, yeah. So this may not be the most accurate thing, but it's given me a good indication of what teams need to do to be able to get into the finals there. So currently... Actually, I'm just going to flick to this screen here to show you what the ladder is, and then we'll talk about the games afterwards. So, North Sydney Sentinels are currently sitting on top. They've had 3 wins and a tiebreaker win and 2 tiebreaker losses. So that's put them on 13 points, and the South Sydney Scorpions have had 3 wins, a loss, 1 tiebreaker win, 1 tiebreaker loss. So it puts them on 12 points. Nothing can change those two making finals. So there's chances that their position might change, but they cannot physically be knocked out of finals.
So do they have to be in the top 4?
Yeah, they have to be in the top 4. So the best other teams can do is get 3 points for a win. And with Action X being the only team on 10 points, the best, if the absolute worst happens and the Sentinels lose and the Scorpions lose and the Matildas win and Action X win, Action X go up to 13 points, which will put them equal with North Sydney, which will probably still only put them second because North Sydney have had some 4-0 wins, so they're probably better on games for and against. So they jump above the Scorpions. Matildas would end up on 14 points, so they would jump up to top. But that's only if the worst happens. So, and for that to happen, North Sydney Sentinels have to lose to Archers, and Scorpions have to lose to Conquerors, who are the bottom team. So I don't see either of those things happening, but there's still a chance, obviously, that it could happen. And, Conquerors have been giant killers before, so they might be able to do it again, depending on how they're feeling in the last week of the tournament. But yeah, so that's the standings at the moment. So we'll go back to my spreadsheet here. So with Sentinels and Scorpions locked in, and look, there is a very, very slight chance that Matildas could be knocked out as well, but it is unlikely. Yeah. Also, even
I love this breakdown.
Yeah. Look, so when it comes to teams that can make the finals, Action X, Bulldogs, Archers, and Panthers are the 4 teams vying for the last spot there, pretty much. Unfortunately, Conquerors cannot make the finals, so it's one thing I do love about the ANZPL is like even coming down to the last round, there is still a chance for almost a whole league to make finals.
Makes it really dynamic. Yeah.
It happened like for season 2 as well. Even last place had a chance to get into finals if things fell the right way. And in a lot of cases, it was a very small mathematical chance, but it was still a chance. But in this case...
Sorry, I'm just imagining Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
That's pretty much what it feels like. So for most of these teams, I've done a bit of analysis, but mostly in my own head, these blue marks are where I think the Panthers will end up making finals, because the Panthers my team. That's who I'm following, and I'm still waiting on that Panthers merch. I'm going to get me a Panthers shirt, or at least a poster, so I don't have to print it off on an A3 sheet of paper.
So is that coming, or?
Oh no, I keep asking Jay Rated about it, and he keeps telling me to go away, and in the nicest possible way. No, Jay's a lovely bloke. He doesn't say that.
All right.
He has some good diplomacy.
World of Tanks merch.
That's it.
World of Tanks merch.
But basically, I'll start with the Panthers because that's the one I know the best. So for Panthers to be able to make the finals, they have to beat Action X outright. That's the first step. They can't even take a tiebreaker win. They have to win outright because at the moment the Panthers are sitting on 7 points. And Action X is sitting on 10 points. So if the Action X get 1 point from a tiebreaker loss, it puts them on 11, and Panthers can't get past them. So,
I can't believe it's coming down to your team and my team.
I know. It's great. I love it. I love that excitement. So that's the first thing the Panthers have to do. You also, the Sentinels also have to beat the Archers, so that that stops them from getting points. I think they could possibly get 1 point, maybe 2 under certain circumstances. What does my spreadsheet say? So there is an indication of being able to pull off, get in with the Archers winning, but best bet is to hope that the Sentinels beat the Archers. And also, Matildas have to put in a good showing against the Bulldogs. So I think most of the time, I think it's I missed this one here. Actually, why did I not highlight this one? So Action X and Panthers. See, this is one where this result here is where Panthers have to win 4-0 to get into the finals. So that's one if Sentinels, like I said, the accuracy, I did this up pretty quickly, so the accuracy might not be good. But basically, for the Panthers to get in, they need to win. Sentinels need to win, and Matildas need to win. That's the basis for it. For Archers to get in, and we have an interview coming up with Celestia from the Archers as well, so we'll have a bit more of a chat about that. For them to get in, Panthers need to win, and they also need to take some points, because what was their current points? 8. So they need to an outright win would be best for the Archers. But yeah, basically an outright win and Action X losing and Bulldogs losing, I think. Because what was Bulldogs' points again? 8, yeah. Or even if the Bulldogs get a tiebreaker loss or a tiebreaker win, that's still good for the Archers. But and for Action X to maintain where they're at, a win or even a tiebreaker win will secure Action X's spot, and they don't need to worry about the results from any other teams, because that'll put them on 12 points, and it will mean that none of the other teams can get past it. With Archers and Bulldogs both on 8 points, the best they can do is get to 11 points. So yeah, for a tiebreaker win for Action X, that will secure the 4th spot for them. So you'll be happy to know, Natty, that Archers are in the best spot to clean up that 4th position there. All they've got to do is beat the Panthers.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. Just don't cry too hard when we actually beat you and secure our first spot in finals. Yeah.
Oh, all right, all right.
That's it.
Well, we might need to trade tears.
I think we might, because let's face it, if you finish 4th, you probably got to play the Sentinels the next week, and we'll probably both be crying then anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
We saw Team Spirit take it out. Every possibility that the Panthers or Action X can do it. So
that's it. So that's where we're at with the predictions. So, like I said, Sentinels and Scorpions are guaranteed. There's a very, very slight chance that Matildas will fall out of the top 4, but unlikely, especially given Bulldogs' current form. But we'll go into that a little bit more later when we show off the matches for next week. But let's have a look now at the Ironside Coffee Hot Shots competition. So we've got a few ones here. So this is from last week's game, the Archers versus the Scorpions, and we have Napalmer from Scorpions. I've lost where you're from, Napalmer. I apologise. Oh no, you're an orange team. This is why you need very different colours. No, oh yeah, no, he is. His name's on the fucking screen. Oh my god, I'm doing really well. I am doing very good.
I think you need a shot of coffee, Str8.
I do. I need some of that Ironside coffee. That's we're doing good. But yeah, so let's have a look at this clip. So this one's Drift King Safi. So Archers managed to get to a tiebreaker with the Scorpions. Safi running away very, very quickly here, but doesn't quite... he manages to do a couple of laps, which is quite incredible in this, especially being chased by JT. And a couple of shots that JT put in there. Just JT's an incredible shot, and you'll see one coming around the corner in a second, where it's just like, how the hell did he get that angle? It's put Safi down onto 1 HP, but he's that one there.
Wow.
Like, that was an incredible shot. But it's a nice little getaway from Safi, and it lets him live a little bit live a little bit longer, but unfortunately by that time you can see Stewie's going down. He's gone, and there's no way for Safi to be able to take on JT, Napalmer, and Russian all in the one there. So the shot you fired went right underneath.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you were coming around through the two cap there, weren't you, Napalmer? So yeah, that's. Don't worry though, because you're not the only person in these hot shot clips, Ironside hot shot clips that have missed a whole heap of shots. But we'll get to that in a bit, because the next clip we're going to show you is from the. Hang on, I should pause that so no sound comes through there. So this clip is from the Action X versus Conquerors game, called HP Harmony. So you'll notice here that CJ and Shanky Pants there are just moving back and forward, and even though it's a 2v2 attack, which you'd think would be pretty even, when the way they move backwards and forwards together just means that they get a shot off, they take it in turns getting shots off and pulling back so they can't get hit. So it ends up being really good. And even this bit here with Eugene protecting Xanon for so long allows him to survive on 48 health, and just lets him give out a couple more shots and helps the Action X get the win here. You know, and because of what CJ and Shanky Pants were doing here, they managed to get out a kill there, and they've got a fairly significant HP advantage there, which helped them go on to win that match there.
I'd love to know what that strategy is called, because we do see it a lot in these highlights where they're moving to share the love with shots. So yes,
I must admit, I'm not sure myself. Napalmer may be able to shed some light, but I think it's just a bit of a rotation, and there is another word for it, but it's escaping me at the moment. But yeah, because it is quite a common strat, even when you're not behind cover like this, where someone will protect the other tank that's got less health, and just let it and basically tank the damage.
Yes, exactly.
Sharing HP. Cool. There you go. Thanks for that, Napalmer. Cool. Then on to the next one, which. So you'll be happy to see in this clip here, Napalmer, that you're not the only one that missed, because poor Bolognese here. So this was in the Panthers versus Matildas game. So you can see Matildas are already up 2-0 with the games, but Bolognese just doesn't seem to be able to hit Twit. Twit goes on the reload here, and he's just in the faster tank, so he's running circles around him, and yeah. Twit's still on the reload. He's still got 10 seconds to go before the reload. So you'd think Bolognese would have this one in the bag, but just misses and bounces. He got Twit 24 HP left. Twit, it's well, he missed. The poor guy, and then Twit ends up taking up the win there, and started. You can see that little clip from the casters at the end there. Sandman was done. It's like, what the hell? No, I'm done. I'm gone. But yeah, it was a bit of a start of the Panthers' comeback there. So, it swung both ways so many times, and I was glad from a Panthers fan point of view that we were able to get it. But sometimes RNG is in your favour, or sometimes bad aim is in your favour as well.
Love seeing plays like this.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely part of the fun of the game, but also the frustration, I suspect, from the players. Poor Bolognese being stuck in the middle there.
Yeah. Yep. But and then the last clip for the Ironside Coffee hot shots tonight is from the Sentinels Bulldogs game. So Sentinels were pretty impressive in this bit, but Rainbow here, who's also known as a Rainbow Assassin, ends up getting a little bit assassinated. He tries to take on Dark, and just the trading of blows there. Dark gets it doesn't look like much at the moment because Dark's reloading, but as soon as Dark comes off the reload, he puts it into Rainbow, and Rainbow's done. It just the tanks that they're in like Dark in the back chat, and Rainbow's in the IS7. So the back chat's got a fair bit more power, I believe, a bit more oomph in its cannon, and it shows as soon as he comes off the reload, bang, Rainbow's out of it. And even I think Rainbow starts to realize it, especially when he gets tracked there. He's trying to get away. Obviously, doesn't have the repair kit, so he can't get around to Dark's unprotected side, and yeah, just it's done then. So those were the Ironside Coffee hot shots. Don't forget, you can also vote on these. So I'm going to chuck the link in chat right now. Go and vote. You can win some coffee. The major prize for the whole season is to win a year's worth of coffee from Ironside with their special Arabica blend. So definitely get in on that. It's quite a nice blend. But go away, Steam. I don't want
to. Steve always pops up with updates at the worst time.
Yeah, it's not even an update. It's telling me what my mates are playing. I should find a way to silence that. But cool. After all those games here, let's have a look at the results. So you can see here the Scorpions and the Archers played out a 3-2 tiebreaker win with the Scorpions taking the 2 points there. Adelaide Action X beat the Conquerors 3-1. Panthers come away with a tiebreaker loss. Melbourne Matildas taking the win there. And North Sydney Sentinels just showing their dominance even more, taking a 4-0 win over the Bulldogs there. So those were the results for round 6. We did show you the ladder earlier on, but we may as well show it again. North Sydney Sentinels and Scorpions 1 and 2, Matildas and Action X 3 and 4, Bulldogs 5, Archers 6, Panthers 7, and Christchurch Conquerors 8. So, and those standings for the top 4, like the 1 and 2 are definitely playing finals. Sentinels and Scorpions definitely playing finals, and I think that's a fair indication of those teams. Like the Sentinels themselves are a super team. Like they've just got a magnificent shot caller, and the Scorpions as well. Their playmaking and their shot caller is just magnificent. So they deserve to be up there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see those two teams playing off in the grand final as well. So that's good to see them up there. Matildas also likely to play finals, I think, from looking at my wonderful spreadsheet earlier on. And Action X as well, just needing to win and not rely on any other results. So their future is in their own hands there. But given the right results, as we talked about earlier, Bulldogs, Archers, and Panthers can also make the finals. But it's a little bit harder. But we have a look at the upcoming games for the final round of the season. We've got the Bulldogs versus the Matildas. So that one here is going to be an interesting game, I feel. Bulldogs have been having a rough trot recently. And Matildas have been playing pretty well. You might not call a tiebreaker win against the Panthers a particularly good result, considering that the Panthers have struggled a little bit this season. But you'd kind of, with the way things are at the moment, you expect Matildas to win that one. And also the next game, the North Sydney Sentinels versus the Auckland Archers, you'd expect the Sentinels to win that one as well. Archers will put up a good show and fight hard. I've no doubt of that. But just the caliber of the Sentinels is next level. There's a reason that they won season 1 and 2. They're back-to-back premiers. They're just very impressive. They haven't had much change up in their lineup either. Same with the Scorpions. They haven't had much change. Coincidentally, this is the only game that has no real effect on the outcome of the ladder. of the finals makeup. So Scorpions are guaranteed a spot. What position they finish may change a little bit, and the Conquerors can't make the finals. So it's the only game that has no real bearing on who gets in and who doesn't. And then, of course, Natty, I'm sorry to say, the Panthers are going to beat the Action X. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen.
No, don't say it so. No. We might actually have to get into a Discord chat this Friday and watch it together.
I think that's a good idea. We'll get in, and just with the what's the Homer Simpson thing? The winner will be showered with praises, and the loser will be booed until I can boo no more. But yeah, I actually think that game's going to be the game of the round.
Tight. Yeah, absolutely.
Because like for the Bulldogs and the Archers to make the final, they have to win as well. And the way the Bulldogs are a quality outfit, but they've just seemed a bit down at the moment, and especially they've had a few losses in. I'm not sure in a row, but they lost to the Conquerors and they've lost to the Panthers.
They started the season really well, didn't they? They started the season really well, and then they've just had this dip.
Yeah, they did. They had a really good start, but yeah, I think the loss to the Conquerors and the loss to the Panthers, who are the two bottom teams and have been pretty much all season, really hurt their chances at making finals. And then, like when coming up against Sentinels late in the season, which I think I would rather play Sentinels earlier in the season than on the back end of the season, just because. But when they get up and going, they are incredible. They're an incredible team. And losing last week 4-0 to them was really hurt the Bulldogs as well. So it's going to be an interesting light matchup, but I think the Matildas will come out on top there. But I really am picking the Panthers and the Action X to be the game of the round, because the Action X, their fate's in their own hands. As I said, they just need to beat the Panthers and they'll guarantee their final spot. But with the Panthers, if they win, it's probably likely that Matildas will beat the Bulldogs and Archers will beat North Sydney Sentinels. So the games that they need to go their way will probably fall their way. So if there was ever a chance for the Panthers to come up and jump into the top four, this is it. So I think both teams are going to be bringing their A game, because this is the game I think that will most likely decide who gets into finals.
We'll just have to wait and see this Friday.
Very exciting times. I can't wait for it. So tune into twitch.tv/World of Tanks ANZ from 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, which is, I think, 9 o'clock New Zealand time, 4 o'clock Australian Western time, and I'm going to do some maths, hopefully without having to look at my toes. So that's 6:30 Adelaide time or South Australia time?
Yeah, we're 2.5 hours ahead of you,
yes.
So 6:30.
There we go. So all happening this Friday. So it's going to be exciting. Tune in and make sure you're checking out those results, because it's, like I said, there's only one game that doesn't have an impact on the makeup of the finals. So it'll be really, really cool to see.
Igniter games.
Oh, yeah. So that's all we have to talk to you about tonight. It's the esports news that we've brought you, but we do have an interview to finish with. Earlier today, I spoke to Celestia from the Auckland Archers about their team last week, their playing last week, and also how they're feeling about this upcoming game against the Sentinels. So we've got that here, so don't go anywhere. Check that out, and we will talk to you next week.
See you, Jim. Bye, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Nuts and Bolts interview here. I'm Str8JaktJim, and tonight I am joined with the Auckland Archers player, Celestia. How are you going tonight, Celestia?
Yeah, I'm going all right. What about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. Wednesday. Always love my Wednesdays. Get to talk to some wonderful Tanks people and see how they're travelling and learn some more or get some more insights into the game. What could be better than that?
Yeah, can't complain with having a day off work.
That's right. That's always good as well. That's a very good point. So we'll getting quickly. Let's have a chat about your round 6 game against the Scorpions. So, unfortunately, you did go down in the tiebreaker, but being able to take it to the Scorpions, they're a quality outfit, and just being able to get to the tiebreaker, I think is a great achievement. We were talking a little bit before the interview started, and it sounded a little bit despondent about it, but like from my point of view, taking on the Scorpions like that, it's no mean feat.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the strongest teams in the league. I'd say. I mean, I think everybody can probably agree that Sentinels are the strongest. And then I would say that as far as this season is concerned, I would say it probably would be Sentinels and then Scorpions. So yeah, being able to contest them to that level was pretty good. And like last night, we did a scrum with them as well, just to practice for this week. And even in the scrims last night, we managed to stay pretty even, like trading round for round. So it seems, it feels good to know that we're not actually just getting rolled. But there are things that we do need to work on. But hopefully, if we can perform to the same level this week against Sentinels, that will be good. And then just hopefully, if it does go to a tiebreaker, that we actually win it this time. But, we'll have to let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, that's it. You did have a really, really good attacking win on Ghost Town in the first round, and then it went to defensive rounds on the next map, and then the tiebreaker back on Ghost Town again. Now, for those at home, the way it determines who picks who is attacking or defending on the tiebreaker map, whoever had the quickest attacking win. So, I believe Scorpions had a quicker attacking win on Ghost Town this time, so they got to choose whether they wanted to attack or defend. And did they chose attacking, I believe, for the tiebreaker. We do have a bit of a clip from the Ironside Coffee Hot Shots competition. So this is the closing stages of the tiebreaker map. So can you talk us through a little bit about what led up to this moment and what the thought processes for Safi are here?
Yeah, so the idea to begin with was that we would basically, through previous weeks and through scrumming and stuff like that, we know that it's really common if we see a 277 in the enemy lineup when they're on attack, is that they will just hard shove that straight onto the cap in the middle. So the whole idea of us pushing 2 of our 277s straight across into that corner was just to catch that out. If they push in straight away, he gets killed because it's a 2v1, and that's a free pick. But then if that doesn't happen, we still have enough map control within the town itself. So sitting on the other side of that wall, you've got proxy spots. So anybody that's along that other side of buildings, you automatically spot them, and you can, if something's there, you know it's there. And if it's not, obviously that still gives you information. And just based off of what their lineup was, we kind of figured Safi should have pretty much free play on most of the exterior of the map. So yeah, getting him all the way down south and being able to clear out with that vision is really good, because if he doesn't spot anything, obviously we know that they're not there, and that can tell us that there's the potential that we need to look out for of them potentially moving around to the northern cap, and we need to respond to that. But because we spotted the Super Conqueror in the middle, we figured, they're still probably not fully committed north, and they might still be playing around. So we kind of just told Safi to wait and just kind of keep the feelers out and see what gets spotted. And then he managed to get a very good piece of vision, but essentially spotting out the entirety of the rest of their team, all sitting bundled up just outside the town, further back from the Super Conqueror. And that was at the point where the only thing that we didn't know was where the CS had gone. And we thought, well, even if we don't know where the CS is, if we're able to get Safi to move to a spot where he has line of sight, that's still a 5v4. We should be able to win that easy as. And then it kind of all just went south, because we were just way too hesitant on what it was that we were going to do. on the fly had a discussion on what it was that we needed to do, and we had decided what it was that we were going to do, and then just for another 40 seconds we just shag-assed around and were second guessing ourselves, and it just gave Scorpions the time to actually re-push into us while we were still in a pretty bad position. And we were forced to take an unfavorable rule in terms of positions, which also kind of forced our hands to bring Safi into the fight, because if we were going to win that, he had to come in and get a clip out. And unfortunately, it just did not go well. And we took way too long to kill the Super Conqueror that we thought we were going to collapse onto first. So he stayed alive and was just farming in the back the whole time. And then by the time that we'd actually killed him, ended up just converging into 3 people pushing straight back into Safi as he was reloading after dropping his clip. And as a 277s aren't exactly slow, they were able to keep up with him. And basically just chase him away. And then myself, as well as I think it was Trax in the 277, we were not able to respond fast enough to help him. So it ended up that he just got chased out, killed, and then it was just me left against like 4 people. So
yeah, it definitely gets into a tough position there when you start getting that tank disadvantage. Even if you're only down 1 tank, but you've got a HP advantage, it's still tough because of the extra rounds coming out from that extra tank. It's so tough.
Exactly, and that's why one thing that's so important in this league is to just confirm the kills, because even if somebody's left on 1 shot, say a Super Conqueror's left 1 shot health, that's still 3,500 DPM in the game. It's going to be coming at you if you ignore it. So it just ended out, it just went bad, and it was just a misplay based on time. It was a misplay on our behalf on just timing. We just need to make a decision and stick with it and do it. And a few times this season it happened with the previous rounds against both Matildas and Action X. Similar situation. We read the map, we read the positions and everything, and we knew exactly what we'd have to do. And we said, yeah, this is what we're going to do. And then we just left it too late. And by the time we actually did it, it was no longer the best thing that we had to do, and it just screwed us over. So
yep. Also, one team you're not going to be able to be given too many opportunities to hesitate on will be the Sentinels, which is your opponents in the last round for the ANZPL regular season before we head into finals. So this is leading into finals. You'd say this is the toughest game. I would say, just because like Sentinels historically seem to take a little while to warm up. Like in season 2, they copped their first loss to the Conquerors fairly early on in the season, but then they come back and win the whole shebang. And they sort of done the same thing again. They took a couple of losses, and I think a tiebreaker loss early on as well. But now that they've come back, like they beat the Bulldogs 4-0 last week, which was looking like Bulldogs were looking like a strong team early on, but then losses to the Conquerors and the Panthers have put a big dent in their finals campaign. But but the Sentinels, they're just a really strong team, and with Rainbow as the shot caller, like you just don't know what he's going to pull out there. So how will you look to combat the shot calling and just the all round general aggressiveness of the Sentinels?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And the problem is we've actually only scrimmed against them once this season, and that was at the very start. So over the course of the previous few weeks, apart from watching back the streams to see what they did, we don't have a clue, And I'll just quickly double check. I remember, waking up this morning and checking the updated match fixtures to see what the maps were. And it seems that we've basically counterpicked ourselves in the fact that we decided to pick Tundra. And unfortunately, that also means that since Sentinels picked Tundra as their primary map as well, it ends up cancelling it out. So the map that we felt most confident on going in to fight them, we don't actually end up playing, because since we both picked it doesn't get picked. So we both have to play our secondary maps. Once again being Ghost Town and then being Himmelsdorf.
I feel like we
So-
haven't seen Himmelsdorf a lot this season.
Yeah, last season it was a very, very common. I think it was probably the most played map last season. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it pans out, because we've played Ghost Town so much, and then it's at that point where, do we try one of the strats that we haven't really played around with before, that we've kind of just tested and gone, oh, this could work, and just hope that it does work? Or do we do the other risk of playing one of the ones that we know how to play and we've got it a lot more polished, but they've also seen it, because I've seen it already pan out on stream, and then, so it's just trying to figure out and make that decision. And then, for Himmelsdorf, it's pretty much the same situation as well. Like, we tested some stuff last night, which is, we were pretty happy with it, which is why we decided to go with it as our secondary map pick. But obviously that was going in with the hope that we were going to play Tundra and not Himmels. But I guess we have to, so it's just going to have to wait and see what it is. And a lot of it ends out being due to the nature of the format not having fog of war. It does end out having quick on-the-fly strat changes during that 30-second countdown, because you just obviously read what their lineup is and try to figure out what the hell they're going to be doing. So, there'll be times where you'll have a strat and you'll go, all right, yeah, this is what we're going to do. And then you'll go in and you look at their lineup and you go, okay, they've got way too much mobility. This is not going to work, because they're just going to play off. They're just going to play off that. So it's going to be tough, and it is not great going in knowing that whether or not essentially we make the finals, or rather the semis, rides on whether we can beat the strongest team. So, I mean, if we can go in and we do win, I mean, that's brilliant. That means that we are able, we know that we're able to contest with the people that are at the very top, which obviously will be a massive boost of confidence going into the semis.
Just quietly, I think you've shown that you can compete with the top. When Bulldogs were playing really well at the beginning of the season, you took them to a tiebreaker. It was a tiebreaker loss in the end, but it was a very good looking game. And your early games have shown that, you can match it. You've got good play style there. So I think you're being a little bit hard on yourself there. I think you've got the skills. But yeah, this is just going to be a very tough game for you guys, but I'm sure you'll play your best and at the end come away knowing that you did have absolutely everything you could to beat the Sentinels.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like you said, realistically, we have been able to at least go toe to toe with other teams, and I think a lot of people didn't actually expect going into the season that both Action X as well as the Matildas would be as properly competitive as they are. They've definitely caught out a lot of the teams, and whether it's, some surprise upsets, we were not happy. We went in against the Matildas confident as we're saying, all right, look, all we need to do, like, we'd already had the roadmap planned out, looking at it, and we'd gone, okay, if we if we win against Matildas and Action X, that's basically it. We're confirmed to get to the semis, even if we lose to JT and lose to Rainbow. And we're like, all right, sweet as, let's just do this, give ourselves some playing room, and well, we saw how that turned out. Not great, if I'm honest. And I will just clarify, the game, I think it was Matildas, where as soon as it got to down 0-3 and I left, it wasn't any raging or anything like that. It's just that I do have work on the following nights after the games, or the following days after the games. So I did, put a disclaimer into the chat saying, look, as soon as it gets to 3-0 either way, where the results already confirmed, I'm just going to bugger off because I need to go to bed because I've got to go to work. But that also means that obviously both Toasted or 13 are able to just get thrown in to just get some games. So, it's not that I was like, super pissed off about losing or anything like that. It's just that, I do have a life outside of this. So I had that does come first.
I think that's important to remember, and we talk a bit about that on Nuts and Bolts as a whole. Is the state of esports in general in Australia, and World of Tanks is probably unique in that this is just purely an Australian comp and doesn't go anywhere like other sports like League of Legends or Rainbow Six or CS:GO, where they've got international competitions to go to. So it's yeah, we're still in that sort of pro-am stage with esports, I feel, in Australia, and people do need jobs to support themselves.
Yeah, although I will say, I don't even know. I didn't think this would be a thing that I'd maybe bring up, but I probably should have checked if this is something that's allowed to be discussed or not. I think as far as I'm aware, it is allowed to be discussed. As far as actual global comp goes, not in a sense of like this sort of a format, but we do have something coming up in February.
Ooh.
Which is actually a global competition. Finalized details are yet to be announced, but should be coming soon. But it is actually a full every server against each other. And it was based off of basically every server had their own competition or tournament that they held, and it was just like a normal 15 for 15 tier 10 tournament, except with the rules of no reward tanks. And whoever ends up winning that basically got like that team got an invitation to the WCI, which is the World Championship International, which is being hosted in China sometime in, apparently it's projected to be the middle of February. It hasn't been fully confirmed whether it is going to be hosted as a LAN tournament, in which case, us as well as the North American server, as well as the Europeans and the Russians, will be flown to China to have this competition. But that is yet to be confirmed. So they are actively trying to get it back, and they're trying to use this as a precursor to it. And also on top of bringing it back to the that's just 15v15. We still actually need to go through our lineup of players and mark that down too. I'm not 100% sure on what the limit of people we're allowed to bring is. I think it's probably like 16 or 17.
Yeah. So is this a Clan Wars style thing, or is this?
Yeah, it's because obviously the old proper competitive was 7v7, which is what the likes of Safi and JT and Bales and Bowl and all that did, which is why those players are massive assets to any team, because they have quite literally competed at the top level international competition for this game in the past. But yeah, so this is actually 15v15, more kind of like Clan Wars spec, but it is the whole thing of the idea of trying to get the best team of 15 from each of the servers and putting them against each other for I can't remember, but I think it was the prize pool was like 350,000 euros or something.
Oh wow!
But that's yet to be confirmed if it's LAN or whether it's going to be hosted online. It's all down to COVID.
Either way, exciting times. International World of Tanks.
Yeah, so, and I know on top of that, at least within our server alone, obviously we have ANZ Premier League, but I know there is also the Japanese League as well as a Korean League. And I also know that on EU they have a Polish League as well. Same sort of format of 5v5. So there is kind of the hopes that these smaller localized competitions get a little, keep getting bigger and bigger, and then that can eventually build up and kind of culminate back into essentially what Wargaming League was, where it gets to the point of, all right, now you're not actually restricted to having the teams from your region. If you want to mix with other players from within your server, you can. Like we saw with Wargaming League, it was APAC League rather. Where you had like Pink Fosh, which was the team that Rainbow was in, but it wasn't actually Rainbow's team, it was a Korean team. So it was, had the mix and match of players. So I guess the hope is that these leagues kind of grow up again, and then we can mix and match, or even keep them within their respective groups of players, but do like cross series fights. So it could be like, the ANZPL teams going up against the Korean teams or the Japanese teams and all that sort of stuff. And then if it does get big enough, and this international tournament goes well, then hopefully that can go to a more global scale like it used to be. Because I know they are trying to revive it, which is good. But it's just kind of I'm just here along for the ride. Like I kind of thought about it, and I thought if it ends out that it does, the stuff goes ahead and all the travel and I stopped and I thought, with this trip for China, if I go, that's a month that I have to take away because 14 days quarantine in China, 14 days quarantine when I get back to New Zealand, and then the time that the competition is and all that. But at the same time, I've thought about it and I've gone, why not?
Yeah.
If you get invited to things like this, go for it.
That's it.
There's I'm not the only person in Premier League that's that's part of that team. Like Trax is, Safi is, Rainbow is, Speed is. There's quite a lot of us that are there. Returners as well. It's just that there's obviously other players from Japan and Korea and stuff as well. So here's hoping that ANZ Premier League keeps going, because if this Premier League keeps going and it gets bigger and bigger like it has, we looked at the first season and compared that to this, last season, and it's bigger, and then you compare it to this season, it's even bigger, and there's more players trying to get involved into it, and you've B League and all that. So
yeah, I think that having the B League there is definitely an indication of how the league's growing and interest in it. Like it's one thing having a like an A grade Premier League thing there, but if you're having that much interest, that like last year you had 4 teams in the B League, this year you've got 5 teams in the B League, so it's definitely growing and it's exciting to see, and I'm really excited to see any future events that that World of Tanks can pull off. I just want to say that's about all the time. This is actually turned into one of the longer interviews that I've done. But thank you so much for joining me, Celestia. It's been a blast to talk to you and get your insight into the game. And good luck against the Sentinels this coming Friday.
Yeah, cheers. We're probably going to need it, but
yeah.
Here's hoping. Fingers crossed that we do make it. Because if it'd be great. Especially after how much of an absolute shit show season 2 was for us. And, if Rainbow was able to pull a full reverse sweep against JT in the finals of last season, who says that we can't do that for the season as a whole?
Exactly.
If we just need to do the exact same thing to him and then do that, through the semis and the finals, and who knows, we might end up coming first place, which would be absolute. I'll be chuffed to bits with that,
Yeah.
And nice. I'm sure everybody else would be, but it's just wait and see how it goes. So
that's it. Well, we'll find out this Friday at twitch.tv/World of Tanks ANZ from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, which is 4 o'clock Australian Western Time, and what's that? That's 2 hours in front of that, so that's 9 o'clock New Zealand time, I think. Yeah, look at that. I didn't even have to take my shoes off to get that maths done.
Yeah, first round starts at 9 o'clock our time.
Yeah, cool. But thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you Friday.
Wow, I hope you enjoyed that show. And if you want to make sure that you stay up to date with everything that Game On Oz has to offer here on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button. That's the best way